everyone, and welcome to episode 46 of Sooner Girl Sports Pod. And I thank you so much for pressing play today. For those of you who are returning listeners, welcome back. And for those of you who are here for the interview with the amazing Payton Verhulst, welcome to Sooner Girl Sports Pod. And I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. Today, I do not have Dr. Jason Lyman with me for our weekly injury report. We had some scheduling conflicts with the holiday week, so of course that's very much understandable. But a shout out to my friend Dr. Jason Lyman for joining me for the injury segment, and we will reconvene with that next week and talk about some of the things I'm going to mention today. But I did just want to give a quick injury update on a few Sooners across the realm of Sooner sports and in professional sports. Last week, we did mention that Lane Johnson, who is an O lineman for the Philadelphia Eagles, is out with a foot injury. We did find out that it is a Liz Frank injury, which is ironic only because that is the same injury that Kyler Murray is currently out with as a quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals. And I had never heard of this injury before, had no clue what it was. Dr. Jason Lyman and I did discuss it on a prior episode when Kyler was out with that injury. And so you can go back and listen to that to learn more about the Liz Frank injury. But that is what Lane Johnson is out with right now with the Eagles. He will be out for about 4 to 6 weeks and will be reevaluated at that time. So that will fall around the first part of January. So depending on their playoff position at that time, I'm sure we'll determine whether he returns for the season or not. But that is what's going on with him. Unfortunately, also in the NFL, Baker Mayfield was hurt last night in Sunday Night Football in the game against the Rams. And he just really got banged up on both sides, but he took a pretty hard hit on his shoulder. Again, both sides, but his left shoulder, he did have an MRI today as I'm recording this on Monday, November 24th. They said no fracture, no structural damage. He does have a sprained AC joint. His status is unsure at this time. He will be reevaluated later, I guess, depending on how that sprain does recover. Shoulders are something that we haven't discussed much here with Dr. Lyman on the injury report, so we will definitely be revisiting that topic next week on the segment. Another thing that we will be visiting on the segment next week are back injuries. And for our basketball player, Jaden Jones, he did have a back injury last season after he transferred to Oklahoma and never played last season due to the nature of that injury. When he was healthy, it was decided it was best for him to redshirt and return this season. So we will be talking a little more about back injuries on next week's episode. But also, Jaden Jones gets healthy from his back injury, has a groin injury, and misses the first part of the season for basketball. He did make his debut with the Sooners this past week. He did not start for the Sooners, but he came into the game early in the first half and made 3 free throws on his first shift. So shout out to Jaden Jones. Welcome to Sooner Nation. I am hoping that he stays healthy. I know that he wants to play. Just wanted to mention that. And again, a back injury is something that can affect a lot of things. And we will talk more with Dr. Jason Lyman about that on next week's episode. Also wanted to give a quote, an update on Xavier Robinson. He did play in our football game against Missouri. Coach Venable said that he showed up to practice last Monday after being injured in that Alabama game, had a sprained knee. He said, put me in a brace. I'm ready to go. He said, that's just what guys like him do. They show up even when it hurts. That's exactly what Xavier Robinson did. He did have that knee brace on under his uniform and played on Saturday. So that's just something to keep in mind, but it is something that he is able to play through. So that is good news as well. Our Mason Thomas is still out with that groin injury as well. I don't really have an update on him. Originally, Coach Venables had made it sound like he wouldn't miss much, if any time. He has now missed a couple of games for us after being injured in that Tennessee game on the road. But we might not see him against the LSU home game this coming weekend, but something tells me we might see him in the playoffs in December. So hopefully we'll get an update on him soon, but that's pretty much all we know about him for now. Also noted that we're still on the injury report as questionable were Javonte Barnes and Gentry Williams. For our Sooner headlines of the week, a quick rundown on our NFL guys. Again, Baker in Sunday Night Football last night, unfortunately, was injured. As I previously mentioned, they did lose that game to the Rams on the road. They are really in a pickle this season. The Bucks just cannot, unfortunately, stay healthy. So depending on what things pan out for Baker and his shoulder injury, I don't really know what to think about their position going into the rest of the season and into the postseason. Of course, they have some wild card hopes still alive, obviously, but I think a lot of that hinges on their health of their players. Again, also Baker Mayfield. Jalen and the Eagles had a shocking loss on the road to the Dallas Cowboys. They were up 21-0 at halftime. The Cowboys came back and scored 24 unanswered points as they kicked the winning field goal as the clock ran out, winning the game 24-21 over the Eagles. Again, Lane Johnson is out for that game. Grant Calcaterra did have a good catch in that game. Jalen had a decent game, but just a crazy, crazy turn of events there in Dallas this past Sunday. Eagles fans are still in shock. Cowboys fans are gloating. And it's just an interesting week across the league as it has continued to be for college football as well. Also, did want to give a shout out. Denver Broncos were on a bye this past Sunday, so that gave an opportunity for our Sooners who play on that roster to come out to the game against Missouri on Saturday. So shout out to Marvin Mims, Nick Benito, Delarian Turner-Yell, and Justin Broyles also was there on the sidelines to cheer on the Sooners this past Saturday. It's always cool to see our OU DNA come back to the Palace to cheer on their Sooners. Another thing that I cannot fail to mention are the stadium renovations that were just announced this past Friday. And I'm going to be real honest, I'm not going to try to be unbiased about this, and I'm not going to try to sugarcoat anything or my thoughts. I'm just going to say I think it's very odd timing for them to push this out now after they're wanting to fill the Palace for 2 remaining home games at the time of the announcement and wanting us all to spend a couple $100 a pop to purchase a playoff ticket to come to the Palace in December, assuming that we make it into the CFP and host a home game. Okay. Yeah, I just have a lot of thoughts about this. I do want to read a few quotes from some other people. There was a lot being said on Twitter the day that it was announced this past Friday, the 20th. The Oklahoma Stadium project will strategically decrease the capacity by 7,000 seats. So, in case you have not heard an update on this, you can read the entire article on Soonersports.com. You could also just search it on Twitter or probably even Reddit, get a whole lot of information and input across the board from all sorts of people. Josie did say that we understand a modest reduction in seating capacity is not a loss, but a strategic investment in the long-term quality of the fan experience. Okay, well, let me just preface this by saying I mean no disrespect to Josie, the Regents, anyone who came up with these plans. I know they spent a lot of time and money on these renderings and everything that entails. Again, they know way more than we do, but all of that to say, everything goes back to money these days. We all know it. We all love and hate it. Love to hate it. NIL, all the things. It's just super frustrating that everything goes back to the almighty dollar, so to speak. And I am by no means trying to sound like I'm at an advantage or a disadvantage or that I know something, inside information, or trying to sound political or nothing like that. I'm just putting out there the information. Gonna read a few quotes from a few known names across Sooner Nation and then throw in a little bit of my 2 cents. You can take it for what it's worth. I have been talking to a lot of people who are going to be affected for sure by this renovation, meaning their seats are on the west side of the stadium. So that's where the stadium renovation is taking place. Again, you can go to Soonersports.com and see these renderings. There will be suites added in and what looks like a quote segregated wall, which is what it's being referred to across social media. And there will also be some loge boxes added across the middle as well, therefore displacing 7,000 fans from that side of the stadium. Again, I've talked to several people who sit on that side that are definitely going to be affected by this. Some of them And again, I mean, no disrespect to anyone on either side of this, but some of them are lucky enough to have the option to possibly upgrade to a different seating section, like a suite or a loge box or something like that. Other people, which myself would be included in this if I were sitting on this side of the stadium. I'm in the southwest corner. I'm not sure how the rest of the stadium is going to be affected. There have been some rumors that the whole stadium is going to end up getting reseated by points, by status, donation, however you want to look at it, just meaning that these people on the west side that are being displaced, if they can't afford that upgrade to the luxury seats, will get first dibs on whatever seat they want in the stadium. So I don't necessarily like that idea. I don't necessarily think it's unfair to those people. However, I do think it's unfair to people like me. So I don't know. But again, a lot of people are coming back saying, well, there's plenty of seats open. There's plenty of seats for sale, blah, blah, blah. You know, the upper deck on the east side is usually not full. But the people who pay the money, donate the money, and sit on the lower west side don't want to sit on the east upper deck. It makes no sense to equate those two things together, in my opinion. And again, I'm not being disrespectful to anyone and their opinion. I have tried to have a civil conversation with people on both sides of this just to hear other viewpoints and maybe things I haven't thought about. There were some things that were pointed out to me that perhaps I hadn't thought about. But to me, the bottom line comes to this. Again, several friends of mine have seats on that side that they have sat in for years 30, 40, 50, some even 60 years that they've had tickets on the west side of the stadium. Now, if you don't know how that works, my dad, he had season tickets back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and he was on that side of the stadium. And as people canceled their tickets, there wasn't really a wait list at that time. So as people canceled their tickets, you were moved over accordingly to your liking and how long you had had season tickets, and obviously move over to the better seating position. So some of those people have earned their right to sit on the 40, 50 yard line in their seating location due to the longevity of the season tickets that they've had in their family. Some of those people may not be paying the quote per seat donation that others are paying to get that premium location. I do know some people who have just moved into those seats on the west side. They're paying a $500 per seat donation on top of the individual ticket prices just to sit there. While other people are, quote, grandfathered in due to the longevity of their season tickets. Do I think either of those approaches are wrong or incorrect? Absolutely not. But do I think that it's going to pose a problem with the pending upgrades and reseating and things like that? Yes, I do. Tyler McComas, apparently him and Teddy Lehman talked about this on their radio show Friday afternoon. I did not listen to it. I did, however, see some of their quotes on Twitter. I will read those now. Tyler McComas said, "Don't demand more of fans and continue to take things away. There's a breaking point for the average fan. Pricing them out of their seats that they've had for 30 plus years is not a good look." Teddy Lehman says, "Rip up these plans and start over. Do the north end zone first to accommodate the 7,000 fans that are getting priced out of their family tradition." Now, one thing I did not mention is phase 3 of this project is supposed to be closing in the upper bowl on the north end of the stadium, which will replace and add additional seating to the stadium to replace the 7,000 that they're taking away. But that, unfortunately, is at least another decade away from right now, because we're looking at this West Side project not being completed till, I believe they said, the 2029 season. Well, they're not going to turn right around and start the next season on this new project. It's going to be a handful of years later. So again, I believe we're looking at a decade from now before we would even have those seats replenished. Again, we're sitting at like an 82, 83,000 capacity right now with everyone on the field and everything. That's going to drop our weekly game attendance to 75,000, give or take. Most SEC stadiums are upwards to 90, 95, 100,000 fans. We played at Tennessee, 102,000 just a couple weeks ago. Alabama's isn't much lower than that. Increasing capacity is not something that I feel like is the direction to go now that we're in the SEC. I will say this, and I would like to give Travis Davison's props for pointing this out to me. Something I didn't think of. Again, I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying thank you for pointing it out to me. Didn't cross my mind. Didn't even know some of this information. But for example, there are some NFL stadiums. Buffalo Bills are building a brand new stadium right now. They are decreasing their capacity. the Thunder Arena, Paycom, is going to be replaced by a new arena. They are decreasing that capacity as well to be able to add more suites and things like that. These seats on the west side of the OU Stadium that are being replaced will be chair backs and bit more room that will have a lot to do with the reduced capacity, of course, in addition to adding the boxes and suites. But I didn't realize that it was, quote, such a common trend going around professional sports, even, that reducing capacity is not that big of a deal. However, that doesn't change my opinion on it and my viewpoint. And I agree with Teddy and Tyler. Those quotes of theirs that I just read, I just don't think that it's the direction to go. Again, nobody asked me. I'm not a big donor. No one's going to give two farts what I have to say. I donate my $100 per seat donation on top of my season football tickets. I attend multiple events to just about every Sooner sport that there is across campus to support all of our teams. But I'm not a big donor. I'm just not. So I realize I don't have a loud voice. I also do realize there's a lot of people who have the same opinion that I do. And I'm hoping that we can all band together and make them see there's another way to do things. I do want to point out, I shared this on my social media, Casey McComas, who is actually Tyler McComas' wife, made a post on her social media on Sunday talking about a guy that her family has sat next to on the west side of the stadium for, I believe it was like 30 something years. She talks about how she would have never met David if not for this. They look forward to sitting together every year, every week. They keep in touch. They've known each other basically her whole life, and talks about the importance of those relationships and how unfair it is to unseat these people, these everyday people who aren't millionaires, don't have the fund to purchase the luxury seating, and they're going to be uprooted out of their seats. And it was just a really touching post. Again, I shared it on my social media, but just go look up Casey McComas, Kasey. You can see it on her Instagram and Facebook, her with a photo of David, and her caption is pretty long describing her feelings and thoughts on this that I just summarized to the best of my ability. But again, I'm thankful for her. She has a pretty large following as being a marketer in the Oklahoma City area, and I think she will get a lot of attention with that post. And Tyler and Teddy obviously have a pretty large following, not only on social media, but with their radio shows as well. And so for them to speak out on their opinions on this, again, not everybody's going to agree. I'm not saying there don't need to be upgrades to that side of the stadium. That's the original side of the stadium. I'm not saying there doesn't need to be upgrades and improvements made. I'm not against that. But I am against mistreating your loyal fans, many of us who sat there during the 90s when you couldn't even give tickets away. I remember going to games with my dad, and there weren't very many people there. There just weren't. We would go every Saturday back when the games were at 1:30, regardless, because there wasn't TV timing and money and all that involved like it is now. But every Saturday at 1:30, when there was a home game, we were in Norman in those seats on the west side of the stadium. And if he still had his tickets, he's passed away. But if my dad were still here, still had those tickets, he would be being affected by this right now. I could also be affected by this right now, given where my seats are located in the southwest end zone. We are unsure how it will affect the rest of the stadium at this point. I can't see how we're all going to get off the hook unscathed for sure. But all of that to say, there are so many people, and I'm not going to throw names under the bus, but many, many friends I talked to this weekend who are very torn about this situation. Again, not disagreeing that improvements need to be made, but just the way it sounds like they're going to go about it is not cool. And those of us who have been loyal fans our entire lives, when no one else would come, you couldn't make people come, and we were there. And now we're the ones that they're going to be like, oh, well, we have a wait list. There's people that'll take your spot. So see ya. It is just not the thing to do. So I know I don't have a huge platform. I don't know who else is going to hear this that agrees with me or disagrees with me. That's fine also. But I hope that if you are affected by this, or even if you have season tickets and you fear, like myself, that we could be affected by this in a negative way, I hope that you speak up. I hope that you use your voice. I hope that you send the email, make the phone call, make the tweet, tag people on social media, all the things. Share the post of those who have a loud voice who are speaking up in agreement with how you feel about this. Again, I'm not saying I don't agree with the improvements and the upgrades that need to be made. I just think there is a good way to go about it, a better way to handle things, and I hope that that is the route that they choose to go. Okay, I could honestly go on and on about that for a long time, but I think I've made my point. So we're going to move on to Saturday and the game against Missouri, because what a day it was to be a Sooner. A win is a win, even an ugly one. I went over to the party at the Palace before the game, and I'd like to give a shout out to my friend Harry James Taylor. I ran into him at the pregame. I had gone over to see my friend Plank and Gabe do the radio show from the party at the Palace before the game, and I just saw him walking over, so I was able to snap a photo with him. So shout out to my friend Harry James Taylor. It was so nice to meet you in person, and I look forward to seeing you at the Bedlam basketball game in December. I also wanted to mention that the Sooners have announced their annual team award winners. The Inspirational Walk-On Award went to Ben Anderson and Major Melson. The Bob Kelso Award went to Grayson Halton, Demonic Williams, and Kobe McKenzie. And the Don Key Award, which is one of the highest honors, went to Owen Heineke and Fabechi Nweyu. So shout out to those guys for those amazing awards and accomplishments from our football team. Also, Dr. Shin, the surgeon who performed surgery on John Mateer's hand back in October, he was in the house at the game on Saturday. He threw the horns down and people went nuts. He did go into the tunnel just right below where my seats are in the southwest corner, and we all got quite the kick out of it. But number 8, Oklahoma, we have now beaten 3 consecutive top 25 ranked SEC opponents. The first SEC win that did not involve a defensive score. So as ugly as our offense was, not going to sugarcoat that by any means, but a win is a win. Again, our first quarter sucked. I'm still mad about the missed face mask in the first quarter. It was exceptionally blatant down in the northwest corner of the stadium. My friends who sit down there were like, yeah, that was right in front of us. We saw that face mask. How it got ignored is beyond me. I had quite the irritation with the refs on Saturday, but I said a lot of bad words and was a lot of yelling going on at the refs on Saturday. And again, I don't like to blame wins or losses on refs or whatever, but come on, guys. I feel like these refs need to be competent and consistent, especially going here on out in the league. A lot of these games being played this following weekend are crucial to some teams to make it to their conference championships, to make it into the CFP and the postseason. So it makes zero sense to not have competent and consistent refs on the field each week. But that's my 2 cents on that. Just wanted to throw in, if you missed that face mask call that they also missed, go back and give that first quarter a watch, because I promise you'll be just as irritated at it as I was. We got an unsportsmanlike penalty. RSJ got injured on the diving catch trying to make an interception, but Owen Heineke had huge tackle for loss. Payton Bowen with another blocked kick. We got another unsportsmanlike after that play. Grayson Halton then was quite literally wrestling one of the Missouri players. Things got a little crazy down on the field for sure, but that later led to a touchdown for the Sooners. Mateer to Satanga, 87 yards to the house. Second half, 22 field goals in a row from Tate Sandell from the 45 or beyond. Reggie Powers unfortunately got a targeting call that he will have to miss the first half of the LSU game, followed by Jacoby Johnson getting an INT on the next play for a little redemption on that. I wish that they would have paused on it. I feel like they're pretty quick to call targeting sometimes. After I did go back and watch it, it does qualify as a targeting call. Still not sure how I agree if it actually should have been played out, but it is what it is. You lead with the helmet. Unfortunately, it just is what it is. So unfortunately, he will be out the first half against LSU. But again, big sack, followed that up by Taylor Wine. A Missouri turnover on downs from the end zone basically did end the game. And then Eli Bowen interception called the game. We held Ahmad Hardy to only 57 yards on Saturday. And if you recall past week's episode, I talked with Dr. Linen about Hardy and how we had to figure out how to contain him to win the game. And we did just that. That guy had more rushing yards than our entire football team all season long, and we shut him down to 57 yards. Last week, he had 3 touchdowns, I believe, over 300 yards. He had 57 in Norman on Saturday. Our offense was not acceptable, not to Oklahoma standards for sure, but they didn't turn the ball over. We took advantage of a short field and got a huge touchdown play while the defense just straight up dominated. This is one of the best defenses I have seen in Norman in a very long time. But OU wins the game 17-6. We again now have 5 wins against ranked teams, 4 of them that are currently ranked, which is the most in the country. We have as many wins against ranked teams as Ohio State, Indiana, and Texas A&M combined. Brent Venables has to be a favorite to win Coach of the Year. Again, we did all of that without a defensive score of the day. So just huge props to our defense. I truly cannot say enough about them. Excited for the LSU game, which is our last home game at the Palace this coming Saturday at 2:30. Win and we're in for sure with the CFP. Hopefully the cards fall where they may. Now we are able to host that home game in December. That will make a huge difference for us in round 1 of the CFP. It is projected, if everything goes as planned, that we will host Notre Dame in Norman December 19th or 20th for round 1 of the CFP. So fingers crossed for that. Quick little rundown on men's basketball. We had a great game against ORU last week. The return of Jaden Jones, as I talked about in the injury segment. After his injury, he returned, and it was great to have him on the hardwood for sure. Bo Wagi had 20 points, 7 rebounds, 1 assist. Nigel Pack, 18 points. Tay Davis, 13. Xavier had 9. We also had good contributions from Jaden Jones, Darion, Jeff, Nueco, Dayton, Kai, Kualatak, and Reed. That was a great home win for us at Lloyd Noble last week. This past Sunday, we hosted Alcorn State. We did end up winning 72-53. It was not a great start to the game. We actually started out really slow, really ugly, but Nigel Pack has 17 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals. Darian Reed had a career high day with 16 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists. Had 11 points. Tay had 7. Again, great contributions from Jaden, Mo Wagi, Kai, Jeff, and Dayton. Next up for our basketball guys, Friday in Chicago against Marquette, so be sure and tune into them on Black Friday. Women's basketball, our Sooners, a great win over East Texas A&M, 112-59. The last Wednesday night, 3 double-doubles with Payton Verhulst, Reagan Beers, and Sahara Williams. Keziah Loft was also very close as a freshman to getting a double-double, so shout out to those girls for that. Reagan Beers, 23 points, 10 rebounds. Sahara Williams, 22 points, 11 rebounds. Payton Verhulst, 17 points, 10 rebounds. Next up for the girls are Coppin State on Black Friday, and next Sunday, Missouri in the Coconut Hoops Classic in Fort Myers. So be sure and tune in to those girls on Black Friday and next Sunday. Women's gymnastics, their full schedule is out. The Sooner Spotlight will be at the LNC on Saturday, December 6th at 1 o'clock. So be sure and mark your calendars and come out to check them out. Our men's gymnastics, also full schedule out now. The red white meet is on Saturday, December 13th. So again, mark your calendar and plan to get out and have a sneak peek of the team. Also, shout out to our men's gymnast, freshman Nathan Roman and signee Dante Rive for taking home the first ever medal at Junior Worlds for USA Gym. Third team, bronze medal, 11th all around, 7th on the floor. Freshman Nathan Roman stepped onto the world stage and showed them who he was. Big things are coming for him as a Sooner. Also, shout out to Rive. Dante took home gold on the men's rings. Just an incredible outing and way to show out for our men's gymnastics. Wrestling guys had a home meet on this past Sunday, the 23rd, against Indiana, and they won 22-13. My guy DJ Parker delivered and defeated number 13 Solers 14-4. DJ is going to be on the podcast next week on December 3rd, so I hope that you will give it a listen. You won't want to miss my conversation with him. Our volleyball girls entered the SEC tournament this past Friday, and they had a rematch against Arkansas. We won round 1 of the SEC tourney 3-1. It was a fun match to watch. I was able to watch it. Then they played round 2 against Auburn on Saturday. It was the same time as football kickoff, 11 11 a.m. Unfortunately, they did lose to Auburn 2-3. It went to 5 sets. They really fought and gave it all they had, but they were unable to pull out that win. I have been speaking with our volleyball player, Sydney Thompson. I will be hosting her on the podcast soon. There is a selection show for the NCAA tournament for volleyball, but I have heard that with the RPI, it is a long shot that they make the tournament, but we shall see about that. That selection show is on Sunday the 30th, so I will give an update on that if they do make that tournament. But I do want to give a shout out to Alexis Shelton and Kelly Doe Burgess, earned SEC honors as the league announced postseason awards last Wednesday. That duo led the Sooners to 15-10 overall record and a 7-8 conference record with the top 25 takedown of then number 21 Missouri. Burgess earned her first honor and was named to the All-ACC second team, and Shelton earned her second All-SEC first team nod. So again, I will be hosting Sydney Thompson on the podcast here soon to do a little season recap for our volleyball girls, with waiting for the season to conclude. Once we know for sure where they will fall as far as the tournament goes, I will get that conversation scheduled with her. So stay tuned on my social media. You won't want to miss my conversation with Sydney Thompson. Again, our tennis girls just continue to show out and receive All-American honors as they represent and play around the globe for the Sooners, and I have been in contact with Julia Garcia Ruiz, who is from Mexico. She's a fourth-year Sooner, very awesome player. I'm going to be connecting with her here soon as well to record for the podcast once her travel schedule slows down a little bit and before the season ramps up in January. So again, stay tuned on social media. You won't want to miss when I get a conversation with sweet Julia. Our track and field crew, I failed to mention, I believe, a couple of weeks ago, I was able to go out and visit practice for our track and field crew. Coach Thomas, I had him on the podcast earlier in the summer. He is so kind. I love him so much. Just such a great, great guy. And he invited me to come out and check out practice. So I stopped by when I was in Norman a couple of weeks ago, and I had the best time. I got to meet some of the athletes, see the facilities, learn a little bit more about what they do and what's going on. And I know absolutely nothing about track and field. So it was really cool to meet those kids, put some names with some faces, and just learn more about the program and the excellent coaches and athletes that they have. And I want to give a shout out to the athletes. They were so, so sweet. I met so many kids that day. One of them, Eva Kubikova, I just interviewed for the podcast. Her episode will air after the first of the year. She's from Czech Republic. There are so many different countries represented on our track and field team. And I posted on my social media a photo of all the flags of the countries represented in our track and field program that they have hanging in the indoor facility. And it was just so cool. Like, a lot of the kids recognized me from seeing Coach Thomas on the podcast, following me on social media. And I thought that was just really cool. They made me feel really special and welcome. So shout out to Coach Thomas and all the other coaches I met that day, all the athletes I met that day. It truly was an honor to get to visit you guys again. Thank you so much for having me. I definitely plan to come back, definitely plan to check out a meet. Their home meets are set up in a really cool way where it's not an all-day thing. It's just more like a 2-hour window to be able to come and cheer on your Sooners. So be sure and check their schedule, their home schedule. It's out now, and plan to make it out to a home meet. Again, more information will be put out about that as the time gets closer. But I did want to mention that and give them a shout out and a huge thanks for welcoming me to their practice. Our cross country crew did run at the national championship in Columbia, Missouri this past Saturday, and Leah Gerudo was our lone female representative there, and with a time of 19 minutes 38 seconds, she finished 60th at the national championship. So shout out to Leah for representing the women of Sooner Nation very well on your cross country journey. And shout out to our men who finished 15th place overall. Shout out to those guys for representing Sooner Nation as well, and earning that 15th place overall for cross country. Again, shout out to my hockey friends and the hockey team. They are playing at Arctic Edge in Edmond. They play all the way through February, so be sure and check their schedule on social media. Get out and support them. We have so many club sports across Sooner Nation. I did also see that the lacrosse team put out their schedule as well, and they will be starting soon. Also, our women's wrestling team is doing well. Coach Brandon Shelton doing fantastic with those girls. Follow all these on social media. Go give them follow, a shout out, check their schedule, see if you can get out and support them. It's just so much fun to support all of our athletes across the board. My Sooner MVP of the week, I have got to give it to our defense because I just am floored, truly amazed week after week by our defense and the performance that they put out on the field, the product that they put out on the field, and just where it has gotten us so far this season. And I think here we are sitting at 9-2 going into this last week of regular season. And I think after that Texas loss at the 1st of October, if you would have told us that we were sitting at 9-2, I don't know that a lot of people would have believed it. I had hope, but I will say after that loss to Ole Miss, I begin to doubt if we could win on the road. If struggled in that loss to Ole Miss at home, they proved me wrong week after week on the road at Tennessee, on the road at Alabama, and then again at home this past Saturday when our offense didn't have a whole lot to give. They really, really got the job done. Again, I'm just completely in awe of their talent, and they're like a brick wall. Again, I haven't seen a defense like this in a minute. So, got to give my Sooner MVP of the week to our Sooner defense. And okay, to end with a Sooner fun fact of the week. The Wayman Tisdale Freshman of the Year Award is a national award that's named after our OU basketball legend. And Sooner point guard Trae Young took it home after the 2017-18 season. So thanks you guys for your overwhelming support. I hope that you will go and download and follow the podcast on your favorite podcast app. Share it with a friend. Be sure to go follow me on social media at Sooner Girl Pod on all the platforms. And please go check out my link tree, which is my link in bio, again, across social media, all the platforms. You can learn about where to get your merch. Other ways to support the pod, how to subscribe to my free newsletter if you're interested, ladies, in joining my Lock Her Room, which is my ladies only community. We have the best time with the text group. You get a merch discount. We have in-person meetups, online meetups, chat group, all the things. There's just so much going on. So I hope that you will go and check out my link tree, give it a scroll, and see how you would like to be involved in supporting the podcast. Okay, now to move on to our interview with Payton Verhulst. We'll see you back here next Wednesday where we talk sports. And now on to the interview with Payton Verhulst. Payton is a fifth-year women's basketball player at OU. She is a one-time All Big 12 first team and newcomer of the year, as well as a one-time Big 12 champion. She is also a one-time All SEC second team and an animal lover. She became a Sooner fan through following Jenny Baranczyk from Drake to Oklahoma. Her favorite Sooner memory is winning the round of 32 games versus Iowa this past year in the NCAA tournament at home and advancing to the Sweet 16. You can find Payton on Twitter, Instagram, and her handles are Payton_Verhulst. I will be tagging her on social media in clips and content all week long. So I hope that you'll go give her a follow and give her a shout out. Thank her for coming on the pod. I also want to mention that Payton and her sister started their own AAU basketball league in their hometown called the PV Rise. I failed to ask her about that in our interview, and I was so disappointed in myself after we concluded our conversation. I texted her and was like, I'm so sorry I forgot to ask you about the program, but I will post an article from Soonersports.com where you can read more about Payton and her endeavor with AAU, the PV Rise. It's just a really, really cool thing, a great way for them to be able to give back to the basketball community. Payton is just the sweetest girl. She's been one of my favorites since she got to Oklahoma. I am so thankful she took the time to talk to me. I love talking to my basketball girls. I have Beatrice Colleton coming up next month. Also have former Sooner Taylor Robertson coming up after the first of the year. So my basketball girls are near and dear to my heart. So again, thank you to Payton for giving me the time to come on the show. And I hope you guys enjoy this interview with the amazing Payton Verhulst. I really appreciate you taking the time to come chat with me because I'm a big fan and I've been wanting to talk to you for a while. So I really, really appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. And so I cracked up on your questionnaire when you said that you were a proud bunny owner because I saw the bunny on your Instagram and I thought it was hilarious.
That's so funny. Yeah, and Beatrice has a cat and he's in here right now.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so what does the cat think of the bunny or vice versa?
We were kind of nervous. We kind of tried to introduce them before, but we're like, well, we're living together, so they're going to have to figure it out.
Right?
And Like they don't even really acknowledge each other. They'll
Okay.
play with each other every once in a while, and like Rocket the cat will lick my bunny and like clean her. So she like loves that. But other than that, they kind of just do their own things. He'll come in here and hang out with her, but that's about it.
That's really funny.
I
Well,
know.
the bunny is adorable, and so I'm glad that it made its Instagram. I don't know, it was a debut to me. It's the first time I'd seen it. So
Yeah, I know. I haven't posted her in a while. I take pictures of her all the time, but I'm like, no one wants to see these. And then every time I
no,
post her, people are like, post more. I'm like, okay, you
yes,
guys do want to see her.
yes, I'm sure people love the bunny. So
Yeah.
that's funny. Okay, well, I don't know how far back you want to go, but just tell me how you got started playing basketball and what made your love for the game and kind of what got you where you are today.
Absolutely. So first, I'm one of six kids,
Oh
and
wow.
yeah, and both my parents played basketball in college. My mom
Okay.
played at Duke, and then my dad played at Rockhurst, which is
Okay.
in Missouri. And so I feel like me, all my older siblings, I'm the fourth of six, so
Huh.
all my older siblings and my first younger sister play, but the youngest evidently is a bowler.
Okay.
No, I don't know how that works at all, but basically was just born into the basketball family and have
Yeah.
been since a very young age kind of getting dragged to the gyms and to all the games, and then
Yes.
one thing comes to another and I have a basketball in my hand and it's just been my whole life basically. So, yeah, it's been fun. I've gotten to play obviously at the club level growing up at the high school level,
Uh-huh.
and now just grateful enough to be able to play in college. I started at Louisville in
Yes.
Kentucky for my first year and a half, and then I transferred here halfway through my sophomore year, and it was just the best decision I've ever made. And I'm so grateful not only for Jenny for letting me come here, but just getting to know Norman more in the Oklahoma area and my team. It's been a huge blessing.
Awesome. Well, I always love to hear when people love Norman, of course, at
Yes.
OU. So that makes me happy. So, how did you know Coach Jenny ahead of your move to Norman? Because making a big move from Kentucky
Yes.
to Norman obviously wasn't a light decision. So, you had to have had a previous knowledge and respect for her coming in.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. So from I want to say like maybe sixth, seventh, eighth grade, the club team that I played for actually had a lot of players that went to the school Jenny was at previously, which was
Okay.
Drake.
Drake. Uh huh.
Yeah, and so we would always end up going to the camps. Like they would take our club team. And
Okay.
so I've been going to her camp since I was like in sixth grade. And since then, I stayed in contact. She stayed in contact with my family. Just she obviously has three kids,
Uh
and her
huh.
youngest, Hope, was born like fresh born, I want to say like 3 weeks old at the most. And Jenny came for the camp when I was there, and my mom was there and was like, oh, here, just give me Hope. I'll hold her. You go around the
Oh,
camp. And so ever since then, it's just like been very family connection.
it's,
Yeah, I know. And so my mom brings it up every single time she sees Hope, and Hope's like, I have no idea who you are.
that is so funny.
Yeah.
Well, Coach Jenny's kids have become somewhat famous on the internet,
Oh, I know.
especially the older daughter,
Jordy.
Joy. Okay,
Yes.
I will never get over her hollering and doing that on the sideline because I'm like, if I had a kid, which we don't
Oh,
have
yeah.
kids, but if I had a kid, that would be my kid with, whatever sport
Absolutely.
because yeah, the passion is definitely there. So clearly she
Oh,
she knew we know where she learned that from. So
oh,
that's hilarious.
absolutely. That's like when it blew up, Jenny was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Like it's so much." And I'm like, "Jenny,
No.
that's you. That's literally you."
Yes, it is.
Like
It
she
is.
is a mirror image of you.
She
So it's just
totally
funny.
is. No, I don't think it's too much at all. I
No.
think it's awesome and I think everybody felt the same way, but it
Yeah.
is her. It's
Yes.
definitely her and I love watching her on the sideline. I don't live in Norman, so I don't get to come to every game. I wish I could come to more, but I usually try to make it to several each
Yeah.
season. But I wish I could come to more because I do love watching her on the sideline. Like she is fun to watch. She's so energetic and just into it. So I bet it's a lot of fun to play for her
Yes.
because she's obviously very knowledgeable and she's a dang good coach,
Yes.
but you can tell that she not only has that passion for the game, but for the players. And
Yeah.
obviously, you felt that, and that's what brought you to Oklahoma in the first place. So, yeah, what's it like playing for her?
Yeah, absolutely. You said it all. It's just like I didn't even realize like how competitive she was until I got here. And it's like I say this because they ask about it. They love talking about it like on
Uh-huh.
when they're commentating games and
Oh
stuff.
yes, yes.
And they're like she will genuinely practice every single day. And she will start with her hair down and she'll have a jacket on or like a sweatshirt on or something. And it's like 5 minutes into practice, hair's up, sweatshirt's off,
Oh
jacket's
yeah.
off.
She's
She's
not
throwing it
resting.
to the side. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because it's like I have never and I've played for so many great coaches in my life and I've loved
Mhm.
all of them.
Mhm.
And I've never played for someone as competitive as her.
Oh wow.
And she will show it like the what you guys see like at games and like on
Uh-huh.
TV, it's genuinely how she is. Like she's
Mhm.
not putting on a show. And so it's just so fun. Like we hopefully she doesn't hear that, but like we'll make fun of her on the sideline. Cuz she's like stomping, she has her heels on and everything. We're like she's going to make a crater in the ground.
Oh my gosh, yes. I thought that. Or the
Yeah.
heel's gonna break and she's gonna break her neck.
And she like always high steps too, I'm sure because she has heels
Oh
on. She's
yes,
trying to like
yes,
get and
yes.
so we're like we'll always mimic her like at practice. We're like, this is what she looks like and we're like sprinting high kneeing all the way down the sideline. As she's about to probably rip a ref's head off. But
Yes.
yeah, but it's awesome. Like and what you said too, it's I feel like that stuff always gets put on social media. Like you see her the hype and the energy. But it's like she truly is such a great coach. Like
Yes.
she I mean the X's, the O's, like understanding how to be like a complete basketball player, I think is something that really gets overlooked for her. And
Mhm.
so hopefully, I mean, she's building such a great program in Oklahoma that I mean, inevitably they're going to see that that's what she's building. So
Oh
I'm
yes.
excited for her next couple years.
Yes, me too. Me too. And I say that every season. But I grew up watching Coach Sherry Cole. Of
Yes.
course, I actually got to speak to her
I
a few
saw
weeks
that.
ago. Yes.
Yes.
And so she was so kind. And so I grew up watching her, and she's all I ever knew of women's basketball for sure.
Yeah.
And so when somebody like that retires and leaves behind a big pair of shoes to fill,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, Bob Stoops with football. You think, who's going to fill these shoes? And I also think Toby Rowland, long time
Yes.
ago when Bob Berry, the previous announcer, retired. And I always just remind myself that even though somebody leaves behind a big pair of shoes, somebody else can come and they are also probably going to have a big pair of shoes. They're just a different kind of shoe.
Yes. Absolutely.
And so I
Yes.
feel like that's what's happened with Coach Jenny. And she's really picked up where it's like we didn't miss a beat, I feel like. In fact, I feel like we've leapt forward. And I don't mean that anything bad toward Coach Cole at
Yeah.
all.
Absolutely.
But Jenny was just like, okay. And she came in and made it her own and she brought in a lot of players that have been with her for years, like
Yeah.
yourself, and has really taken off with the program. And it's been so fun to watch. And so I love her. I hope that she is happy at Oklahoma, but I hope that she stays forever, forever
Forever.
and ever,
Yes.
because she is so fun to watch and she's been so great for the program. And all the fans seem to really love her. So,
Love
and
her.
the
Yes.
players as well, which is huge because, there's so much more to basketball than just the X's and O's and,
Yeah.
and the practice and the
Absolutely.
game. And she truly seems to care about you guys as people off of the
Yes.
court. And that's
Yes.
very important. That's very important.
No, absolutely. And that's like another piece of I knew that about her when she was at Drake, but I don't think I
Mm-hmm.
understood like how important that was.
Yes.
Especially like I have a direct comparison from my previous school. And so it's so interesting. Like she really does like she just does her own thing and she doesn't really care what anyone thinks. And
Yes.
like she like you said, she's walking into a program that has such a rich history and it's like
Mm-hmm.
everyone's like, oh, is she gonna live up to what Sherry did? Is she gonna be able to
Mm-hmm.
fill that? And it's like in her head, I don't think she was thinking that. She's like, I'm just gonna do what I know.
Yes.
And that's exactly what she's done. Like I don't think there's another program that you can say plays the way we do or another
Mm-hmm.
coach that coaches the way she does. And I just think that's what makes us so special and it makes us hard to play against.
Yes. I agree. And I like what you said about her not trying to fill someone's shoes or
Yeah.
replace somebody, but she just tries to be herself.
Yeah.
And I think that that is what, like you said, that's what's made her stand out. That's what's made the team and the program stand out. And I think that that's very important. But, I think how far women's basketball has come over the years, which I'm thankful for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
But I think of all the big name coaches coming to Norman this season. Don Staley and South
Yes.
Carolina. That team they're always incredible. And then we have Kim Mulkey and
I know.
LSU coming to Norman, which is crazy to think about all of these big names. And I know there's others, but those are the two that stuck out to me
Yes.
when looking at the schedule. But just thinking, oh my gosh, like these are nationally known coaches, teams, and programs, and they're coming to Norman. So that not just because of those teams, oh, he's going to be in the spotlight. We made it to the Sweet
Absolutely.
16 last
Yeah.
year, and there's quite a few expectations, I would assume, especially um, Reagan's coming back, and then we have a
Hmm.
lot of good freshmen
Yes.
with Elia Chavez. She's very promising, obviously, but I think it's good to see those players coming in that are promising. So we think, oh, we're building, to the future
Yes.
because sometime, you and Beatrice are going to be gone,
I
and
know.
Reagan are going to be gone. And it's crazy to think about because I feel like you guys have been there for forever, so to
For
speak, not
no,
in a bad
forever.
way. But yeah, and I'm like, oh no, they're going to be gone someday. And that's always hard for me to let go of players. Like the softball girls a couple years ago, Jada and Kinsey and all them.
Yes.
It was hard for me to like let go of them. But then you look
Yeah.
at what's coming in and the building blocks to the future, and it's nothing but promising. So
Yeah.
I know that we're headed in the right direction, and we've got a lot of great games coming up this season, and for Norman to be in the spotlight and not just the team. So that's got to be
Absolutely.
exciting for you guys for sure.
Oh, super. That's actually funny. So at the end of last year, obviously, we lost to UConn in the Sweet 16. And
Yes.
I just remember, like, we go in the locker room, obviously, you're like, oh, it sucks after a loss and everything.
Yes.
But I remember, like, Jenny coming in and saying, like, specifically to the Lexis and Skylers and
Uh
Liz and
huh.
Vea, the people that had been there forever,
Yes.
that, like, it doesn't end here. Like, even though you guys are gone, like, you started this culture.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
like what you said, where it's like, yes, you're gonna lose people, and it sucks. Like it sucks for us too. We don't want to leave
Yes,
here,
I
but
know.
it's like,
Yes.
yes, when you're doing the right things as a program, those things take care of themselves, and it
Very
just they
true.
everything replaces.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, like not even having to do with talent, you're gonna get like Jenny coming in, being a new coach, you're gonna have players
Yeah.
that come in and they have
Yes.
shoes to fill, but they're just wearing different shoes and they're
Yes.
kind of just playing their own game.
Yes.
So I think that's really special about what they've created here, and that's Jenny and that's players that have come before. And I'm just excited to see where it goes because she has such just high expectations for us and
Yes.
for herself, and I know that we're gonna meet every single one.
Yes.
But I definitely am excited to get, not to travel to like South Carolina and play at South Carolina and then go to
Right.
LSU and play at LSU and then go to Tennessee and play. It's like, oh my God, we couldn't catch a break.
I know. Yes. That's a
So
lot of traveling
yes.
all over the
Yeah. And then
place.
you're like, oh, we have, 15,000 people that are cheering against us. And I'd rather have 10,000 people cheering for us.
Yes. Yes.
So it'll be interesting. It always, I mean, basketball at the end of the day is basketball. You're going to play the game, but it's so much fun when you're playing for a crowd, people
Oh,
that
for sure.
understand, like you said, like actually understand the history and
Mm-hmm.
everything that comes with those names.
Yeah. So, on that note, like, what's one of the hardest places that you've played? Because I can imagine that the South Carolina, the LSU
Yeah.
are really loud arenas. And so, like you said, having 13,000 people cheering against you,
Yeah.
and it's almost like it's extra loud because it's
Yeah.
not for you.
Exactly. It's like, why are they only yelling when I touch the ball?
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say, I mean, there's so many. I was super excited to go to Tennessee just
Uh-huh.
because that was a program that even when I was like visiting, I loved going to their arena and everything.
Uh-huh.
When we played at LSU, it was so loud. Like the band was yelling. There
Oh
was
my.
donors sitting in like the sideline seats and they were yelling. And it was just like, oh my gosh. And of course it was a good game, so it's like even
Yes.
more loud. I will obviously we went to South Carolina and they fill it out and like we go
Oh
to the
gosh,
SEC
yes.
tournament and it's right next to South Carolina, so they fill it out where
Yes.
South Carolina
Yes.
is. Which I'm sure is what people have been saying about softball for years. It's like, well,
Probably.
yeah.
Yes.
So I'm like, damn, we understand it from this side now. Yeah.
It's not fun when you're on the other side. We'd rather be
Exactly.
on the yeah.
Yes. But it's like at the end of the day, especially like you said, with women's sports in general making such strides,
Oh
I
my
would rather
goodness.
play for a crowd, period.
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
care if they're cheering against me. I don't care if they're cheering for me. Obviously, you would
Absolutely.
rather have them cheering for you, but
Yeah.
it's just it's really nice to play for people that now, like you said, are understanding like what's happening
Yes.
and understanding the strides that we're taking.
Yes, agreed. Well, I did not get to come to Norman last year for the Iowa game, but I was home on the couch,
Yeah.
zoomed in for sure. But what a game that was, and what an atmosphere that was. And one thing I loved, and I've told this to several people I've talked to because I talked to one of the soccer players and
Hmm.
their coach and the track coach and gymnastics, and I told them all that I noticed. Of course, I know it's just cool to see they were there supporting you guys. they
Yes,
they were
absolutely.
there as a team, and they're like, we are here for the basketball girls. And I just thought that that was so cool, and I know that that helped that atmosphere because it was a Monday afternoon game, like at 2 or 3 in the
Yeah.
afternoon or something. So it's hard for people to get off work, and I'm lucky that I'm self-employed and work at home, so I was able to plan
You're like,
around it.
let me log in.
Yes, yes. But I know it was hard for some people to make it to that game, but what an incredible atmosphere that was. And it was such a big game for Coach Jenny. I mean, it's crazy to think about having to coach against your alma mater
Yeah.
and to do what she did to pull that big win off. And of course, it being at home definitely helped the home crowd.
Yeah.
But what a win for her, and what a game for you guys that
Yeah,
was.
absolutely. That's like when looking back, I was like, I don't know. Obviously, you think back to like Lexi Keys' huge shot versus Texas when won the Big
Yes.
12. And
Yes.
obviously, I'm like, I can literally think back to that moment and I'm like, I still get chills.
Oh,
I
I
was
bet
foul out
so.
on the bench. I wasn't even in the game and I was like, chills.
Yes.
But it's that Iowa game was just so special. And like you
Hmm.
said, like I genuinely remember looking up and like seeing our athletes, like seeing other teams there.
Yes.
And that was something that honestly we hadn't really gotten that before.
Uh huh.
That was like the first game that they had mentioned it and like our coaches were like, "Hey, like they're having a bunch of teams come and like they're literally canceling practice or moving
I
practice
love
around
it.
our game." Yeah, and it's like that doesn't happen at every school.
No, definitely
And
not.
yeah, and a lot of times like teams are competing with each other
Uh huh.
for
Yeah.
fans, for all
Yes.
the money, for everything. And so I just think that also speaks volumes about Oklahoma as a university is how they support each other and how they're willing to do that. Like the coaches that are here, obviously they're doing something
Yes.
right. Like when
I
you have
agree.
support like that, then it's obviously you're trending in the right direction. And like you said too,
Yes.
Iowa was a huge game for Jenny, and of course she's
Oh
sitting there
man.
like it doesn't matter, guys. Don't even think about it. Like, if they ask questions about Iowa, just say that I told you. You don't have to answer. But it's like, and she's just that type of person where it's like, it's
Yes.
fine. It's just basketball. For us, we're like, no, we're gonna take care of this for you.
Yes.
But yeah, it was funny and it was good too. Like that was the first time she had gotten past the second round as a coach and us as a
Yes.
team. So it was just really special all around.
Yes. Well, I hated the way that your season ended, but I know playing against UConn was a mountain in and of itself.
Yes.
And, Paige Beckers is a name that everybody knows, of course. And
Yes.
I've followed her for years, and I'm glad that she was healthy and able to
Yes.
play a good season. And I actually, she plays in Dallas now. And so my niece and I went down. We were supposed to see Caitlin Clark as well, but
I know, that sucks.
she has missed both of the games in Dallas, which is very unfortunate. I actually saw Caitlin last year in Dallas, so I have seen
Okay,
her.
good.
But my poor niece has struck out twice now. But Maybe next year. But it was so cool to see Paige, and she's another one of those names that everybody knows, that
Yes.
just kind of like a generational name.
Yeah.
But it's just really cool to see how women's sports has come so far, and I know there's still a ways to go on a lot of different levels, but
Yeah.
it's cool to look at the WNBA and see, 2 or 3 years ago, it was not good for that
Yeah.
league. And then here came some of the bigger name players. And I know that there were others other than Caitlin, but I think we can all agree that
Yes,
she has been
absolutely.
the driving force,
Yes. Yes.
and we're grateful for that. But it
Yes.
takes a village, and I think,
Yeah.
like you were talking about, the teams coming to watch you guys and moving their practices and all of that to come and support. I think that's what it takes, not just at our school, but
Yeah.
just in general. Like, okay,
Yeah.
we've got to invest in women's sports and
Yeah.
watch women's sports, you know
I love
but
those shirts.
I mean, you've got to do it. And I know it's hard because it's not as televised.
Yeah.
The WNBA, it's not as televised as other sports are. And I hate that, but it has come a long way. So I try to focus on
Absolutely.
the progress.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
because like I said, 2 or 3 years ago, it was not where it is today. So I
Yeah.
have to think, in another couple years, it could be more leaps and bounds ahead of where it is now.
Yeah.
So, but it is cool to see whatever it takes to get everybody on board to watch women's sports in whatever capacity. And it's cool to see that. It's cool to
Yeah.
see that. And like I said, I know we all wish we could have gone. Did you guys play in Seattle when you played
Yes.
UConn? Okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, we all would have given anything to have been able to go up there and watch that game. I'm sure it was an incredible experience,
Yeah.
even though it ended not the way that we would have liked. But what
Yeah.
an experience for you guys. And like you said, Coach Jenny making it past that far into the tournament, more farther than she ever has before. And I think that's
Yeah.
a good sign going forward. Like, what are you guys going to do this year? Like, do you feel like a lot of expectations, like a heavy weight, or is it just more of like excitement, like it pushes you, or is it more of like stress?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I especially, I mean, I feel like I can say this in all my fifth
Mm-hmm.
year wisdom and what I have, but it's like I think it's exciting for me. And I
Yeah.
know
Okay.
we've talked about it as a team, and especially Jenny's talked about it with us. This is
Mm-hmm.
really the first year at Oklahoma where now we've had people committing and coming here because that's what's expected of us,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
where it's not the other way around, where where people are just committing here obviously because they love Oklahoma and they want to
Right.
play for Jenny, and that's like the benefit. Oh, we
Uh
made it
huh.
to the Sweet 16. I think really now is we have 11 girls that are committed to doing what they need to do in order for us to do what we know we can do.
That's awesome. I love
Yeah.
that.
So Jenny does a really good job of that, because also, I mean, there was so many people questioning. Like, we had 11 people come into the season, well, 9, and then we had 2 international girls come. So
Mm-hmm.
they're like, what is happening? Like, and we just want people that want to be here, and like
Oh
really
yes.
buy into the program, and
Yes.
just like have also the expectation for themselves that we want
Yes.
to go far. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and once you, like you said, when you make it to like that Sweet 16, or you kind of like break that barrier, what that
Mm-hmm.
has been there, it's like, okay, like the floodgates are open, let's go. Like, we know
Absolutely.
what it takes to get there, we know what it takes to get past there.
Yes.
And I'm so excited for this season.
Well, I'm excited too. And like you said, it's really cool to see how far you guys have come as a team, as a program, just in the last 4 seasons that Coach Jenny's been there. And yeah, to make it to the Sweet 16 was incredible. Yeah, let's push for the Final Four. I mean, I think, of
Absolutely.
course, that's the goal. I know, but you guys have a lot of promising talent on the roster. So it's good to hear that everybody's like on the same page, has the same
Yes.
mission and goal.
Yeah.
Because that definitely makes a big difference, your mindset for sure, and not just like, oh, okay, I'm along for the ride and hope for the best. You're like, no, we have a mission.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, like you mentioned, we have amazing freshmen coming in, and I really
Yes.
do. I mean, again, I've been in college now for, I mean, this is my 5th year, so I've kind of gotten to see the waves of ages that come in, and I
Yeah.
I can't speak any more highly of the freshmen. Like, they're awesome people,
That's
and
awesome.
they just are so, like, caring and loving,
Uh-huh.
and they just enjoy everything. And I feel like that's not always how it is as a freshman. Like, sometimes
Yes.
it sucks. Like, you're getting dragged from class to practice to lift to do
Yes.
extra, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is not what I expected, or like, this is a
Uh-huh.
lot. And I just think that they've really killed it. Like, they've crushed freshman year so far. And I know, like, school
Good.
just started, but they make, especially like our older kids, our lives a lot easier when we don't have to
Yes.
like babysit and all that stuff. They kind of like take care of their
Absolutely.
business. So, I mean, and on the court, they're all so talented. And obviously now our sophomores are blossoming because they kind of get a little less pressure. They know the
Yes.
system, and I'm just so excited. I know everyone coming back and all our new kids are just, it's going to be great. And you can just tell like this team really loves each other. So
That's
it's
awesome.
fun. It's fun to be around each other. You know, it makes all the difference, especially for girls. It's like
Yes.
the more you love each other, the easier everything goes.
Well, you guys are together a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
especially during the season, obviously with traveling and everything, but just practices, like you said, in lifting and all of that. So if you're not a close knit group, that can definitely make a difference. So
Yeah.
that's good to hear for sure. So what do you think you're looking forward to the most this season? Or like a
Well, first of
specific
all,
game or just in
yeah.
general? Like, yeah.
Yeah. In general, right now, I know for sure I'm like, I want to play and stop practicing.
Oh, yes,
but
yes.
but specific games, I mean, definitely those big ones we have at home, the South
Hmm.
Carolinas that got us last year, and LSU.
Yes.
I think those will be really big ones for us, and obviously Texas is a big one for us every year.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Yeah, I know we go there this year.
You do.
I mean, it is what it is. Like you said,
Yeah.
sometimes it's just you'll take it. You're playing for a big crowd. I don't care who they're cheering for,
Uh,
but I'm really excited, and I'm honestly just so excited to play with this team. Like,
Good.
yeah, it's gonna be really fun.
That's exciting. Well, I'm ready to watch. I will say Austin is one of those places that I will not go for
I
a lot.
understand.
Yeah, for a lot of reasons. I feel like if I went there, I would end up in jail. And so, I mean, I go to
I'm
Dallas.
probably halfway there too.
Yeah, I'll go to Dallas for football, but I've always said if they ever did football, a home and home, I'm out.
Yep.
Like that is
Yeah.
one
Count
place
me
I
out.
can't go. I've never gone to Austin for any other sport. I just don't think I can do it. So, best of
That's
luck to
funny.
you. I'll be cheering at home.
That's so funny. That's like how my mom was like, there's certain games that like I will end up on the court. I just need to stay home.
Yes, I can understand that just as a very passionate fan. So I can imagine like as a parent that would be me especially in a big game like that because
Oh
I
yeah.
was I was at the Texas game last year in Norman and man that was a heck of a game.
I know. I know. And of course it's like then there's scuffles and there's fighting and there's
I
all this and
know,
there's
of
fouls
course.
and it's like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
Yes, yes, gosh. You know, those games like that, like you look back and you're like, I'm like me as a fan, like I'm exhausted from watching that. But you know, what a fun game it was. But then you're obviously not happy with the outcome, but you're just like,
Yeah.
gum, like it was a good game, especially there toward the end. And it's just funny
Yes.
to think, like I said, as a fan, I get so emotionally invested sometimes, especially in those big teams or those big games. And I'm like, I feel like I just played. I can't imagine
Yeah,
how
I'm
you
like,
guys feel.
I need to take I know, I need to take a breath.
Yes. I just can't imagine how you guys feel being so physically and mentally invested in the whole thing.
Yeah, no, it's funny because it's like I'll go talk to my parents after and they're like literally out of breath and they're like, "Why do you guys do that? Like, why do you keep it close? It's not fun." I'm like, "I don't know. I'm sorry."
We can't help it. We tried.
Yeah. I know. I'm like, I don't know. We just wanted to make it interesting, I guess.
That's so funny. Well, is there anything else you want to share or talk about before we wrap it up?
No, this is so awesome. I'm so happy that we
Okay.
got to get connect and make this work
Me
and
too.
yeah,
Me
and
too.
yeah.
Thank